is a potentially life-threatening illness that actually causes your body to turn against itself. See, a normal immune system would react against things like colds and infections and fight off the bad stuff. Well, my immune system is confused and it fights off the good stuff. So it attacks my own working organs. To date, it's attacked things like my heart, my lungs, my brain, my stomach, my joints, and most recently it's attacked my reproductive system. On June 30th, I underwent surgery to have my cervix removed, and it was a really successful surgery. I've had very many more surgeries, and this one was actually going to be my best surgery. I walked out of there feeling great for the first time ever. No nausea, no nothing, I was great. Until a couple hours later, I started just feeling that incredible pain, thinking, well, hey, maybe it's just the happy medicines that are just wearing off. So I took some of my pain medicines, went to sleep, hoping to kind of sleep it off. Fortunately, I wasn't able to sleep off this pain. In the early morning, I just woke up, I was in unbearable pain, and had to ask my family to take me to the emergency room. I knew something was wrong. From there, honestly, many of the hours and days that followed are kind of a fog to me. They found that I suffered a complication from the prior stage surgery. I was bleeding internally severely. I was bleeding everywhere, around my liver, my spleen, my kidneys, everywhere. So they knew immediately that I needed emergency exploratory surgery to help clean up the mess and hopefully, they said, hopefully to save my life. So, believe it or not, I truly wasn't frightened throughout this entire process. I'm a woman of faith. I have an intense faith in God, and I really believed that I was just going to make it through fine. I've made it through every other surgery. I've made it to this point. I was going to be just fine, no problem. But there was a time when that fear set in, and it kind of hit me very, very strong. What happened was I was laying on the table, prepped for surgery, ready to go. Headband on, I got the arms out, got the mask on my face, got about 50, 60 doctors in the room ready to take care of me. Doctor comes in, she's all scrubbed up, ready to go, puts her arms out, gets her gloves on, shouts across the room, okay, we're ready to go. And a nurse from over this way says, no, the blood isn't here yet. Okay, let me just say that again. She said, no, we cannot start your life-saving surgery because the blood isn't here yet. Okay, for normal people, maybe that wouldn't shock you so much. But for me, it did, and let me explain my past. See, about 4 years ago, I was actually an employee of the American Red Cross. Loved my job. I was there for 5 very, very happy years until these stupid illnesses of mine made it to where I can't work a full-time job. So I unfortunately had to leave the Red Cross. But one thing that the Red Cross did give me was the blessing of being able to see every aspect of the blood donation process. I was able to see, first-time donors come in and put their arms out there for perfect strangers. I've seen donors come in every 56 days like clockwork. Donors come in giving for their family members, giving for their own surgeries, giving for perfect strangers out there. I've seen friends stand by donors who, they might not be able to donate blood themselves, but they can hold the hands of somebody else that can. Unfortunately, more frequently throughout my time there at the Red Cross, I saw the other side of things. I've seen the empty donation chairs. I've seen the empty schedules. I've been there to see the refrigerators empty, and I've seen the shelves empty where blood should be lying. And that was the vision that I was left with as I'm sitting there, laying there, hearing this woman across the way saying, your surgery can't be done yet because there is no blood on the shelves. I've seen that for myself at the Red Cross and was terrified at that point. I'm not a woman who gets scared, but I was scared at that point. And in fact, I was mad at that point. You go through all these different emotions. I'm sitting here ready to go, just about a second away from getting that happy medicine that'll put me away to dreamland. And I can't get started, and I was mad because I said, had there been just one more donor, I could have been okay right now. I wouldn't have to go through all of this. Just one more donor could have changed this entire story. And I was terrified. I sat there writing out You know, I could see my tombstone sitting there saying, just one more donor, Ron Pritchard would be here. You know, I was terrified. And before I had time to pretty much plan out my entire funeral, a wonderful angel in scrubs basically appeared above my head and hung this beautiful clear bag of red, beautiful looking A-positive blood sitting right up there. It just looked like gold to me. I looked over and there was nothing prettier than the sight of seeing those 3 words, American Red Cross, across the top. There was nothing that could have eased my fears more at that point. I just knew I would be okay. It was those 3 words, American Red Cross. Who would have thought that that would be my life-changing moment right there, to look up. I saw it. She put the mask on. She said, baby, it's time to go. And off I went into surgery dreamland. And I was able to know that I was going to be okay because of that. Now, before I cry, I'll have to look at my paperwork and say some more, okay? We've all been told the facts about donating blood, that every 2 seconds someone in America needs blood. We've heard that, you know, every 3 Americans are going to need blood. We've heard those facts. We know how important that is. What we aren't reminded of is that that one person might be you. It might be the person sitting next to you. It might be your family member, your mother, your father, your sister. It might be somebody close to you, but I can guarantee somebody in this room is either going to receive blood or know somebody that is going to receive blood. That's an important fact to know. And of course, the other important fact that we, are constantly reminded of is that your one blood donation can save up to 3 lives. Now, as important as that is, I want you to leave with a different number in your head, because those 3 lives aren't the only lives that you're saving. You know, when you give blood and you donate and you impact those 3 lives, I want you to know loud and clear that you're forever impacting the lives of those attached to those 3 donors. Those 3 patients have mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and husbands and wives and children. You know, on July 1st, it wasn't only my life that was saved that day by that blood that was sitting right up there. It wasn't my life that was saved. My husband was saved. My husband has a wife because of it. My mother was saved. She still has a daughter. And my babies, my children get to have a mother because I was saved. So you saved my entire family just by this one bag of blood. So you need to keep that in mind. If there's something you leave with tonight about my story, keep that fact in mind. Not that you're saving 3 lives, but that one needle prick, that 1 hour, that one blood donor. You're not only saving 3 lives, you're saving potentially dozens of lives, hundreds of lives possibly, that person can touch. And I want to make sure you understand that. And I think it's important to remember too that I'm no different than any of you. I'm just an average person just like most of you, and I did not plan to be this way. I did not plan to have a sickness. I did not plan to have most of my days in hospital beds or in my own bed. I didn't plan any of this, and you won't either. But one of you is going to go through that, and we have to plan ahead for that. And it's our job, all of our jobs here, to make sure that you're not sitting there prepped for surgery, headband on, ready to go, and having that thought of just one more donor could have saved me. It's our job to make sure that that doesn't happen, and it's our job to make sure we get that out to your people, your employees, your community. I just really want to thank you guys for the opportunity to tell my story, and I really, truly want to thank my Red Cross family, because it's honestly, it's literally their blood, their passion, and their hard work that saved my life today. So, I thank y'all very, very much.